So I've spent quite a lot of time in the Himalaya over the years.
Cool.
Mostly whitewater kayaking, if just to fill you in on that. So I know the Karakoram, I know the Pakistan and the Nepalese side quite well, and it would strike me that the easy pickings are all gone. Whether you want to go down a whitewater river or go up a mountain, the stuff that you can just. I mean, when I first went to the Himalayas in '97. You could do a first descent by throwing your kayak on the top of a bus and just driving somewhere going, oh, look, river. And off you go down it. and it's the first descent. Go me. And I then went back in about 2010 and suddenly you're like, holy shit, I have to hike for how many days to get there and this much shit to take with me and so on and so forth. And so you must be like a Pakistani logistics guru at this point in time.
Oh, I mean, I certainly spend a lot of time thinking about it. And you know, an interesting thing in Pakistan is that the geopolitical conflicts over there, primarily between Pakistan and India, have kind of created these areas that have, you know, due to that conflict, been restricted for foreigners accessing them for many, many years. And it means that if you can really plug into what's going on over there in terms of that conflict calming down and the areas that are opening up and kind of be on the forefront of that, there are a lot of opportunities. So it's like there's a, you know, as we kind of look at conflicts in mountain regions, you know, climbers are oftentimes some of the first folks to go in to those areas, and it's because that's kind of where a lot of these gems lie, and it's pretty kind of a cool outcome of like peace prevailing in some of these areas, and development of recreational opportunities.
It's amazing for all of the doom and gloom that we hear on the news. Doesn't matter which news platform you look at. I've got friends who in 2019 were leading expeditions paying clients into Afghanistan. And I was like, you're paying people where? And then they had that conversation of, Rob, you do know that your geography is crap and that it's a bigger place than you could realize. And actually there's some pretty cool, quiet places as well to go.
Yeah. The Wakhan corridor is a lot different than Kabul or Fallujah or whatever. Yeah.
So how do you go about choosing these new peaks to climb, new routes to climb? Is it like you spy something on one trip and you're like 2 years time, or is it Google Earth, or what's the process you go through?
It's a really good question. And I think for me, you know, it's kind of all of the above when it comes down to it. But the most important component to all of this is relationship with space. And for me, if you look at my climbing career, there haven't been very many trips where they've been kind of like one-offs. I've spent a lot of time in the Alaska range. I've spent quite a bit of time in Patagonia. I've spent a lot of time in Pakistan. And you see some folks who it's like, you know, they kind of try to go everywhere, but I try to really zero in on a few different places. And that allows me to understand, you know, not only what the next objective might be. You know, if we look at Linksar, for example, we actually saw Linksar from another first descent we made back in 2015, a peak called Changi Tower, kind of a Trango Tower, kind of big granite wedge that we made the first ascent of. That was 6,500 meters tall, and we were looking from that down into the Kondis Valley, and there's Linksar, and Linksar was something I'd heard of, and you know, it's kind of, so there's that kind of like oh, there's the next thing, and the next thing we're gonna go try, which I won't tell you the name of, but it's something we saw from that last trip, and so that's, you know, that's that. There's kind of that like specific of objective, but there's also just understanding the logistics, understanding the conditions, understanding what your expectations should be around, you know, what the climbing or whatever that kind of thing you're going to get at is going to be like. Climbing in the Alaska range is very different from climbing in the Karakoram. They're both very different from Patagonia. as well as climbing in the northern Andes or climbing in, like the Himalaya of Nepal. And as you form more of a relationship with these spaces, you understand both how to be successful, but also more importantly, how to be safe and how to avoid hazard. And that's, our primary goal here is to go climbing more. And to do that, we have to survive. And to do that, we have to make good decisions. And to make good decisions, we need information. And so by spending more time in a place, we have more information and therefore are able to, keep doing it.